Hi, welcome to the Inner Circle. I'm Gabby.
I'm Keish.
I'm Sydnie.
And today we have a special guest, Marissa Kuhn.
Hi everyone, I am Marissa. I'm a local Denver photographer and I'm a friend of Gabby's.
I found this thing where it's like a smorgasbord of like your wants and needs.
Oh, I have it on mine.
That you can.
She sent it to me because she told me about it and I was like, I need that in my life because it
has like really. Let me see. It has like really good points.
I'll pull it up
like
for you.
What
You might have to move your mic up a little closer.
Yes, I do. Thank you. So it's called a non-escalator relationship menu. It has must-haves, like to have, maybes, and what's off limits. And it goes over topics like commitment, physical intimacy, communication, emotional intimacy, social integration, and so on.
I feel like
and so
this would
forth.
make my first dates a lot quicker.
I sent this to
So
my
here's
boo,
that
and he was
little
like, so you're
switch.
doing it for me too, right? And I was like,
so
yeah.
what is this? This is a test? What is this?
It's
Is a list
it's like a list of things.
Like a compatibility?
So like, do you
Yeah.
like how she said she doesn't want marriage? She would put that as a maybe or off limit.
Off limits for me because I already have what I can deal with.
Well,
I
I'm
have
curious.
it and I don't
I have
want
a
more.
question.
Yeah.
Wait,
please.
what-
No,
what
you
were
go.
about
You go
to-
first.
No,
You
you go first.
This is
I was
really
gonna
cool.
make
This
it
is
a
on the
game.
topic. Yeah.
I
this
was
is
gonna
on the
actually
topic.
make this a
There you go.
game.
Ooh, I'm down.
This is on the topic.
I wanted to go through each of the lists and like we have must have, like to have, maybe, and off limits, and
Okay.
I'll go through a few from each line, and we'll just be like off limits.
Oh, yeah,
maybe,
this
like
goes
to
with
have.
like boundaries and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good, yeah.
Do you still want to ask your question first?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm gonna just pick a few from random ones. PDA.
I love it.
What were they? Must have?
So a must. We'll go down this line. So
Yeah,
must have, like to have, maybe, or off limit.
I would like to have that.
Okay.
What are you talking about? Are you embarrassed of me? What is the
Show
problem?
me awe.
No, for real. Because what?
So yours is must have.
It's like a like to have, a must have for me.
Yeah, it's like in between. It's
I'm like,
in
you let me
between there
show it.
somewhere.
It
Yeah.
depends on the person because that goes into like the societal standards. If I'm out and about and there's a possibility of me running into my step parents, I don't want you to look like my boo thing. I don't want you to look like you know me. Like, just because I don't want to have that conversation, it has nothing to do with how I
It's
feel
not
about
them,
you.
it's me, or not me, but,
Yeah,
you know.
but it's like
It's the respect
it's
for
the
them.
step parents. I don't want to have that conversation with them. I don't want to have to explain that. I don't want to be like, oh, this is so and so, and then her be standing there comparing him to her son, like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
because I know that's the way she would do. So like,
she's in a monogamous
yeah.
headspace.
So like,
mindset.
she really doesn't understand. Like, I think she just figured out in our
like, are you about to
bios
move on?
because she started asking certain questions, and I'm like, oh, she knows now. Okay.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I'm like, okay. So like for me, it's just like if I ran into anybody from my parents' church or my step parents or anything like that, I'm not fucking being like, no, this isn't my
You don't wanna
person. This
explain.
isn't my. Yeah, I don't want to have
Yeah.
to go into like all of the logistics
This
of
is my person. We
personal
hang out
life.
So then
sometimes,
with
like,
your,
you know.
with
Yeah.
your nesting partner, would you do PDA?
Oh yes.
Okay, but with the rest of your partners,
yeah, with my
it's
with my nesting partner, like if he's not like touching on me and making me feel good and like hugging on me and like I rest on him a lot. Like as a disabled person, like he is my mobility aid. Like I pull on him, I rest on him, like all the time. So like if I'm tired, like I'm leaning on him. Like there's always some connection happening, but like I would not feel comfortable with that happening with like anybody else. Yeah.
Got you. So it's off limits for the rest of your
I don't
partners.
care
Yeah.
about any of them. Everybody
I would
can
say mine is like to have, but that I don't really know why that. I love PDA, but I also don't. It depends on my mood, and it depends on where we're at. Like if we're in a close, intimate situation, we know everybody. Like yeah, let's like hug on each other, kiss. We can hold hands. But in public, I think the most I'm like, okay, we can hold hands sometimes. Maybe put an arm around. Maybe a quick kiss.
Right.
But I don't want to be hugged up. I don't want you all over me. I don't want you dragging me, you know.
Oh, see, I would be like, if he tried to leave with, like, my main partner, if he tried to leave without, like, actually giving me, like, a hug and kiss goodbye,
weird.
I would take offense to that.
Yeah,
Like,
'cause
if we
you're
were in
being
public
weird.
Yeah.
and, like, yeah, no, I'd be like, the fuck are you doing? Come kiss me. Like,
I think it's funny, like, how we're able to, like, we have to think on the situations. Of maybe in this case, but not in that case.
Yeah.
And
no,
if you
that's true.
already
Like, I'm not knocking on him at a funeral. Right. Like,
But if you and your partner already know this and you have your checklist, you guys,
you know what's
you
up.
already know. Like, if you're at a party and you know Shawty wants to kiss at a party, you want to kiss at a party, you don't even have to ask about it. It's not even an awkward conversation. It just happens.
No, I've had quite a few awkward conversations with like the Denver scene where like I'll have like people that like I've been with where I'm like, I kind of want to like bring them around, but like they don't really know about y'all. Like
that, yeah.
Is that gonna be like a thing? And like it never is a thing, but I always try and preference it before going in, so that way there's not like an awkward moment where they're like, oh, you fucked? Oh, you fucked? Oh, you fucked? Like, I don't want that moment. So, like, I always try and, like, I over-explain even if it's not needed.
Just so they're clarified.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the next one?
I found another one for emotional intimacy. This one's tough.
Ooh.
Sharing stories about past.
Ooh, I love to share stories.
Honestly, I love sharing stories about the past. I think that I've never felt 100% safe doing that in situations. There's some situations where I felt kind of safe, but from what I've seen, I'm an oversharer. That's what I've been told. I've been told I'm an oversharer, and like they could have gone their whole lives without hearing that kind of thing. And I'm not ashamed of that because I'm just.
You overshare.
I'm open. I'm an open book because what? Like wait, this is me. This is me. Yes, I did that. Anything you can say or bring up about me, yes.
Yeah.
I did that. If I did it, I did it. And I'm okay with talking about it because it happened. It's a part of human experience. It's a part of life. And if we can't own it and take accountability for the dumb shit that we may have done or, you know, maybe not even done, but just the things that we have done as humans, then we're not really living. You got to be able to take that accountability and say, yeah, it was me in those moments. For sure. I love the past. Let's talk about it. You know,
Gabby's like,
we can get in it. Let's go. I might hear some things I don't want to hear too, but it happened. So you gotta just.
Yeah.
Okay, Kaneisha, read me like a book on this, but like. I love telling. I'm an open book. And people are like, yeah, but like it's
Scorpions
are never. We gotta get into the footnotes.
It's glued shut.
It's there.
This is the open.
You haven't done the scavenger hunt to get the key for the lock on the journal yet.
So like, I'm open if you ask me the question, but I guess it depends on my mood because I'm a moody bitch. So like if I have an attitude and you ask me a question, I don't know if it might be a slick answer. But if I'm in a great mood and like we're working on stuff and you ask me a question, I'm all for it. And I vice versa, I expect from the people that are around me to be open, even though I'm not as open, and I try to be more open because of my expectations of other people.
Let me ask you this. When you ask a question, do you have like an intent behind it? Because like I always feel like when people asking me things, I'm like, but why do you want to know that? Or like what led you to this? Like what do you like, why do you want to know this about me? Not like what is this question? Like my brain always goes the step later. So like when you're asking the questions about people, do you have that in the back of your head? Like I want to know this because, or is it like I just want to know this about you?
I'm such a curious person, so I just really just want to know.
Yeah.
But because I'm a Scorpio and people think like I have like I can be calculated, but people don't realize that it's calculated in a short amount of time.
Yes.
Like I have my pieces. I'm not holding on to stuff. Like you told me something and I'm like, ooh, what's this? So I can hold, okay, lock and key, that's going to be put in the back for when this happens.
Fire.
I'm calculated. I have stuff, but like I'm genuinely curious and I just ask questions because I want to know.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to know everything about everybody.
Yeah, because I want to know the full shape of you. Like I love people, but I also hate people at the same time.
Oh, same.
So like I love small amounts of people. So like I'm
small
great
doses.
with one on.
I love human nature.
Doses.
I love human nature.
Yes.
And the intricacies of human nature and how it like shows itself within individuals. I love that. The actual individuals themselves, fuck them. No. Like I don't like people like that.
And that's in October.
I'm pretty sure you're pretty open about talking about the past. What about you, Sydnie?
Yeah.
What about the past for you?
So,
what does that feel like for you?
It depends. I am a true Gemini. I am a true Gemini. Like, sometimes I'm very open, oversharing, like giving way too much information. But then sometimes I'm also like really closed off. And in my relationship, though, I try to be as open as possible, because I feel like for me, I've been in those relationships where we sweep shit under the rug and, you know, we pretend, and I don't like that, because I feel security in honesty. And so I feel like, well, if that's what I want, then I want to give that. I want to make sure that I'm being, you know, open and honest. Now, does it always go that way? Well, I'm always honest. Well, I mean, hey, we all lie, okay? We all lie, okay? But we all lie, little white lies. Okay. Baby, I've never lied to you. I've never lied to you.
You're gonna be like, what?
Well, it's funny. The other day we were talking, and he specifically was like, "Don't talk about me on the show." we were watching, and there was like a one of those.
We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, there was one of those commercials about Plan. I think it was a Plan B commercial, and I was like, "Yeah, that's how Plan B works." We had talked about it or something, not about. Anyway, I was like, "That's what that is," and I was like, "So how many people have you had to buy it for?"
Oh my god!
And he was like, "What? No, like
Yo,
we're not."
I'm on the other end of these phone calls. Sydney's like, "Gabby, I just said this." I'm like,
"Oh my god!" Because he like, and he.
That poor guy. Oh my gosh.
I just want to know,
like, a ringer.
Poor baby. I'm sorry, baby. He just
got set up
to the camera too.
He was like, ghost, white, or
he was like, "What?" And I was like, he's like, "No, he was like, "No, I've never bought that for anybody." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then
you're this old and you've never bought something?
Wait, no, for real, bro.
But so then we start getting into. I'm asking him other questions, and he kept saying, "No, I've not, no," and I was like,
right, yeah,
you never had to buy them.
I'm like, this man. I'm like, wait a minute now.
Yeah,
it took me a long time to catch on.
Did you cash at $50?
I know, they like the specifics.
Did you at least give us
Someone might have spent $50 even if you didn't cash app it. I'm just saying, because, you know, sometimes you just don't say anything. You just go buy the Plan B. I'm sorry. That's for a different discussion, I think. But I'm just saying, you just do it. You don't.
Sorry, babe.
I want to find another good one.
Yes, please, I love it. Well, actually, to clarify, so when you're talking about the past, do you mean like just like that type of stuff, like logistical stuff, like how many girls, like what have you done, like that type of stuff? Or because like for me, like that stuff is like a no-brainer, absolutely talking about it. But like because I was with my partner from such a young age, oh my god, what accent was that? I was with my partner from such a young age that I completely lost my train of thought.
Talking about the past, like you guys probably have.
Oh yeah, we have so many shared memories. Yeah. We have so many shared memories throughout just like our experiences, our growing, and all of these things that like it feels like when I share myself, it's hard to share me without the addendum of and my partner, or like I did this with so and so, or like oh well this happened because did such and such. I said his name again. Sorry.
We'll it out.
Yeah, sorry. But like, it's like the second time it slipped through. But like,
that's your man.
Yeah. So like, it's really hard for me to talk to new partners about like who I am and what I like to do, because a lot of things I like to do is like the things I do with.
Yeah.
So like, open book about anything like that, where it's just like, I did this, I cheated in the past type of thing. Yeah, definitely.
For you.
Yeah, because there's
shoot.
Yes.
Oh God.
You kind of have to zoom in. And
you have to cut me off. I ramble.
Let me see.
I'm terrible at cutting off, so I'm gonna leave that to K and S.
Listen.
You're like, okay, that's all we need from you on this. Next thing.
Let me see.
I'm like, they're good ones, right?
There's some good ones here.
There's stuff on there that I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of that.
That's what I felt like when you showed this to me last night. I was like,
let me not get into that because that would be a different time. This is
no.
We're gonna
save
talk about
it.
that a different one. Okay. Commitment to relationship maintenance.
Oh, that's a big one.
I like that because I feel like In my personal experience, I'm very committed to relationship maintenance. And I think that some people aren't as deeply committed or as committed as I am to maintaining, you know, the relationship, what that looks like, just what that looks like, you know.
Is that you taking a lot of L's though? Like, is that you like?
Oh yes, I've taken a lot of L's, baby, and I'm still waiting for my W.
Yeah,
just saying, but I have taken a lot of L's on the maintenance of that relationship, just committing to it, whatever it looks like to you. I put in more effort than I get back for the most part.
I feel like
that's my toxic trait, probably. It was toxic for me.
I mean, wait, I wanna speak on that. If you have seen, because it's a trait now, if you've seen that it's like a habitual thing, why still put in so much? Like, I'm not saying give them a little bit of crumbs at the beginning.
By my most recent entanglement. Yeah, you know, we were exploring ethical non-monogamy together, and we did talk about.
I want to hear like what that looks like to you.
Okay, let's talk about it. So
give us the breakdown.
So I asked the question now. It's just mine.
Yeah, sorry.
There it
is. So with that, I think it's just me. I'm naturally a giver. I'm naturally a lover, and so sometimes I overdo it. I overgive. I overlove, and when I'm really into somebody, they're like. They sometimes become the center of my focus and my attention, and it's been problematic to say the least. But I do end up overcommitting, over maintenance, overdoing it, where I'm not getting that reciprocation. It's not happening on the other end, and it leaves me feeling very imbalanced.
Is it almost a cushion when they're like pulling away?
Maybe it is. You know, I think that I am also struggling with learning how to say no and where to draw my boundaries and where to say, okay, I've committed enough. I've gone through enough. I've done enough maintenance here. This person can meet me, you know, and if they don't, then they don't. But I have a fear of letting go as well and what that looks like, and, you know, attachment issues. I mean, daddy issues.
That's
we
me.
can get into all this.
That's so me. It's like if they're not holding on, I like, we're both
laundry list.
It's abandonment issues. There's so many things, you know, and so exploring. So back to what you were saying about exploring the ethical non-monogamy. For me, it's been interesting to say the least. In that situation, there was no like commitment per se, but there is sort of this commitment to mutual respect for each other, and that's where the ethical non-monogamy comes in, because we have this mutual respect for each other. And so in the beginning, it was really, really good. Also learning a lot again, just what does this look like? You know, like he's telling me about his situations and I'm over here with no situations. So that was the problem for me. I'm like loyal to a fault sometimes, because when I'm really into someone, I do get kind of monogamous. Like the door, like my pinky toe is like outside the door. It's a little there, but like mostly I'm all in on that person. And like if a situation occurs, I'm not going to deny myself that pleasure or fun, right? Because it's, you know, we're open, we're doing this. But with him, so here's where we have a difference in things here. I, as a person, I have that one person that I'm super into, and mostly outside of that, it's sexual connection. It's a sexual connection. It's more fun. It's not as like deeply romantic. I'm usually like one romantic connection and the rest are, you know, whatever. With him, totally different. He is like, I need to have a connection with this person or I'm not going to be doing this with this person. So then here I come, because I'm like, I want to be number one. I want to be the priority. I want to be, if there's a hierarchy, if I had a poly, if I had to choose, I would be the primary partner and the rest would be, you know.
So that helps me a lot, because I'm like,
no. but he was for her.
Yes, in my head, that's kind of like, and we never drew any lines because it wasn't poly. Like I said, we were exploring ethical non-monogamy, which is different.
Yeah,
poly
I was trying to figure out the and
commitment.
Like, that's
definitive, you know. Whereas the ethical non-monogamy, it's like we're just telling each other like, hey, like, you're a person for me, but I'm also seeing this person and letting them know like this is the kind of connection that I have with this person. This is what's going on with this person. And he was doing a lot of persons. And I was just like, I mean, not a lot, I'm sorry if you're watching this, but he wasn't doing a lot of persons, respectfully, but for me, I was just like, whoa, like I haven't even thought about stepping outside of this yet. And you're just, you're out there, you're like you're swinging around, and I'm like, okay, that's great. I mean, that's great. You know, I want you to explore. I want you to have that, but I'm not doing that. And so that's kind of where the imbalance came between us in that situation.
Was there resentment with that balance?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100% I resented him. And I still kind of do. I'm still working through that. But, you know, it's very much so like me discovering like, hey, like maybe I want a little more commitment. Maybe I don't want ethical non-monogamy. Maybe I do want something that's more poly and more lines drawn, more like, hey, we're definitively this, we're definitively something, and you're my person, you're my rock, and then whatever we do outside of this, we'll figure that out. I think that's
I love that you said it like that, because that's what I've been like. I see people's in their the Twitter, they have that tag, the ethical, that whole thing, and I didn't understand it truly. I just like, I was like, yeah, I know it exists, like it's a thing and it's separate. But that makes so much sense to me. I could never participate in that.
I never will again. I would not recommend that.
I should not participate in again.
Yeah, tell us more.
Honestly, I would not recommend it, only because I think there's too much room for not being able to fully express your boundaries.
Okay, yeah.
And maybe that's just me personally and how I felt, you know, but I think that he felt the same way in different ways. Like I was crossing some boundaries of his, I'm sure. And, you know, it got to the point where now we're both like, I can't stand you. I can't stand you either. But we love, you know, having sex, doing those things.
Yeah.
And so, but it's not, there's no future relationship, there's no definitive commitment, there's nothing of that nature. And I think I'm learning I do want that, you know. I don't want to be entangled too long or entangled for too much to where there's no definitive boundary, there's no definitive lines. And, you know, like you're telling me all these things and I'm like, I don't know if I want to hear these things about these other women.
So
like, yes, I do, but I don't.
This goes into my boundaries.
Let's talk about
I do not want to hear about any of that shit. Like, I know names. Like, I know, like, oh, I'm going to visit blah, 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 or I'm going to visit blah, 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 or, like, I have, like, or I am, like, this is a new one, and I'm nervous, or, like, within, like, those parameters, like, I know, like, what's going on. Like, I'm always well-informed, but I do not want to fucking know. Like, I don't
details.
want to hear. As long as you're happy and healthy coming home to me, that's all I care about. That's all I care about.
Is your partner the same way? Like,
no,
they don't want to hear the details?
He wants to know details, but, like, sometimes out of respect for my other partners, it's not something, like, I want to show. So, like, he doesn't trump the other partner's boundaries. Like, everybody's boundaries are still very valid and are needed to be respected.
This is so interesting.
Just because like he wants something, like if it goes against somebody else's boundaries, like he's not gonna always get it.
Right.
But like where I can have that leniency, where I can like have that like, oh, this is what he did and like this, I liked that, versus like how like I didn't really like this, like he can take that knowledge and then like transmute it into our actual relationship and stuff like that. And like for him it's just like more like wanting to know, like there's a little bit of that like getting pleasure from like knowing that I'm getting pleasure somewhere else. Like there's like a little bit of that element to it, which like I kind of, which like I don't really understand, to be honest. Like I don't have that element. Like
you
that's
and your
not
partner, you've never shared a person, or you've never had a relationship with a person.
Yeah, no.
Together.
So our relationship is our relationship.
Okay.
And like
you don't bring nobody else
it
in.
is complicated enough as it is without like another person's feelings, emotions, all of that. Like I like how we figured out our dynamic as it is, and I'm not willing to compromise that for another person.
Right.
Does that mean that I'm not willing to let him go out and do whatever he needs to do to come home to me and be a better partner? No, that's completely different. Like so like it's hard for me because I have certain boundaries that I feel like very strongly about, where like, and if I feel a certain way and I tell him I feel a certain way and then he brings it up again, I'm like, oh no, we're not doing this. Like, this is not happening this way. This is not happening. And like, it will, like, there are things that set me off. But within that, like, usually once we've already had a conversation about it, once it's been addressed, once we've like figured out where people, like, where we are coming from with it, where like, I understand that this is your feeling, but like, why is this your feeling? And is that a legitimate reason? Like, why am I having to dampen myself for you?
Right.
And if it's a legitimate reason, then absolutely, I will do that for you because that's what you need. But if it's like superfluous and dumb and like, it's like a thing that he needs to get over, then it's like a conversation we have and we work through the ways that he can move on from that in a healthy manner. And it's flipped the same way for me. So there's definitely things where like we don't do people from the past. Because to me, that's like you were waiting to sleep with them. You were waiting until you had the chance to sleep with them.
Right.
And I don't like that shit.
Yeah. You're like a new partnership.
Yeah,
From
so
the
like
past.
Yeah, so
Meaning,
like
like,
coworkers,
exes.
like, well, not even exes. So like, I had like some past situations where like I know that if they wanted to fuck me, like I could go and hit them up and they would fuck me, like type of situationships.
And that would be okay.
Yeah, and like, well, no, that would not
sorry.
be okay. Yeah. So,
That would be
that's the boundary. So,
Are you living by
yeah, so like it's like more so that like people from the past, if I went out of my way to seek them, to fuck them, that would be like they were on my mind our entire relationship.
Oh, okay.
Like that's
see what you're
weird.
saying.
Like
Okay.
that's like, oh, I finally had the chance to do this thing that I've been wanting to do. Like that's a little weird to me. But like I met this person, we had a really good connection. Like they fulfill these things in me that I need. Like absolutely go for it. Like whatever, I don't fucking care. But like we were coworkers. I could tell when you were coworkers that you liked each other and like that's fine or whatever, but like those weren't the boundaries at the time, and then the boundaries changed, and then that's the first person you jumped to go fuck. Like,
Right.
You were waiting for that.
you were waiting for that, and like that hurt. Like that hurt, and that was a conversation that we had to have because like those were feelings that were had.
Yeah.
And then a conversation happened, and then the right things took place. That like I was the priority.
Yeah.
So like even though the other people's boundaries obviously like are important, like Hunter's boundaries and my boundaries, our boundaries will always take the main priority. Other people's boundaries don't trump like our wants. Like our wants don't trump other people's boundaries, but our boundaries trump other people's boundaries.
And this is why I love what you have going on, because there's boundaries. The word boundaries, it's like ringing. It's like sweet music to my ears because
I say that wasn't all the time. Like there was a conversation that was had in our iffy area where like it was like your boundaries will be the death of this relationship.
Yeah.
And I was like, well then our relationship will die.
Yeah, no kidding. Like that's
and that is like straight up how my brain read
is.
that. Like it was literally like, how fucking dare you? Like,
Yeah, no
like I
kidding.
am finally standing up for myself in the areas that I need to. Like it's like you either understand that these were issues that I've been struggling with for a while. Like this isn't like a new thing. None of the boundaries were like a new thing. And so like when those boundaries were in place and they were finally put in place and we were at a point where we were talking in a healthy way where boundaries could be set in place, like you had like there's different levels of talking, and there's talking where like you can talk about shit, and there's you can talk about shit and you can be like, this is what I'm going through and I need you to show up in this way or else this is not going to end well for both of us type of thing. And then there's conversations where it's like, oh, what do you want? Like, okay, cool, I want that too.
Let's do it.
So like it's very like lighthearted versus like this is like a thing and this is going to affect us and how we move through life. Like we need to have a legitimate conversation about this because how you move life affects how I move through life, and I want to move through life with you.
Yeah.
Because like if I don't want to move through life with you, I don't fucking care what you do. Like it does not matter. But like if I'm choosing to have you in my life and I'm choosing to let your actions affect me, then your actions are affecting me, and then we need to move forward as such.
Yeah.
Because what you do does start affecting me. And at that level, that's when boundaries need to be in place. If it's before that level, what you do, I don't care about. Like there's certain people that are just like fuck buddies and stuff like that, where it's just like, I don't really care. Like, I honestly don't know much about them. Like the last person, like, I had to ask him again if he had siblings. Like, I was like, yeah, you have siblings, right? And he was like, yeah. And, like, we definitely had talked about it. But, like, I don't remember everything about everyone. Like, so, like, there are certain things that, like, it's important to remember. And with certain people, like, you gotta, like...
Gabby, I have a question about your situation. Hold on, because if we're... So, from what I'm gathering, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not sharing anyone with your partner. That's not a thing for you. You're not sharing...
I'm open to the opportunity of...
I'm asking her first, but I want to know about you.
For me, it's more like I'm open to the opportunity of if we're stable and solid and 100% like in good terms and we both feel good about ourselves and all this stuff, I'm willing to experience another person with them. Like, I'm willing to have an experience with another person. I'm not willing to let that person into a relationship ever.
Gotcha. So you've never done that, though? You've never had an experience?
Not yet. No. And he's done like, and going back to the resentment about him having situationships and you not, I was very much the same in the first part. We had conversations. It was super organic and very much like, this is what is good for both of us. But it was very much like, I can utilize this sooner. Yeah, just take it down. No, because it was just like, he was able to utilize the polyamory situation a lot sooner than I was, just because of like work situations and just life in general. And the way that he interacts with people, he's just a lot more like out there and like if I'm introduced to somebody, like I can chill and I can vibe and everything like that, but I need the introduction. Like I can't just like walk up to somebody and be like, hi, let's hang out. Like that doesn't compute properly. So like I've lost my train of thought.
Gabby, do you share with your person, right? Your person does so.
I'm gonna tell you what we have.
Okay, right.
There's a lot of
that. So have y'all talked about this? Because I feel like it's very interesting. I want to hear more of your viewpoint, because you're very definitive in your relationship with the poly and things of that nature, and I'm kind of just bouncing around and you're figuring it out too. But I just want to hear, like, are y'all like talking about experimenting with other people? Are you bringing other people into the relationship, or is it just you're finding these connections outside of each other and you're informing each other and it's totally...
So we're not sharing any partners or bringing any partners.
Do you like girls, Gabby?
I do not like girls.
Okay. I didn't know. I didn't ask.
I guess not romantically.
Okay. Do you like girls?
I don't know if I sexually like girls, but I know romantically I could never. Okay. Because I have a lot of gay friends, and I'm just like, girl, leave that for the birds. I could not. The fist fights with another girl, I could never.
Right.
No, there is a lot of heightened emotion.
You mean literal fist fights? I thought that was a sexual term.
Yes.
He was having fist fights last night.
I've heard stories.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for pussy?
But does your partner want that from you?
So my partner
want that in general. Does he fantasize about you and another woman, or you and another? I don't want to put anything on him.
He does want me to have like other relationships with women and like have him be like like in a threesome situation. Okay. He's also talked about like wanting multiple marriages.
Okay.
And him being like the sole provider. Yes, girl.
So that's a lot of pressure.
So that's a lot of pressure.
Polygamy?
And polygamy. And I'm like, I'm not for it. Yeah. I'm not gonna judge against it. Okay. And I told him, I was like, hey, this timeline from what we're at what we're doing right now is like an open, cute little poly situation. I could do that. Little poly but what you're asking for is a big ass jump.
Yeah.
And like, where's the journey to that?
Right.
And his sign, he's an Aries as well. His sign, God bless his soul, has big ideas and just like no journey process, but the journey comes as it happens. And I'm like, I can't do that. You can't tell me you want to be with me at that capacity and then say you're gonna wrap me in that shit.
Yeah.
And hey, to each their own, but it's like, it's shit to me. I can't be like, what? We're in different homes. There's a wife in the
wife over there. Wife
she's
over
watching
there.
my kid.
Wife over there.
Like, I get it. It works. It's easier.
It's show that I used to watch. It's super old.
Is it Seeking Sister Wives? Because I've watched that.
Oh my God.
Sister Wives, definitely.
Yeah, but he wants to like a sister
straight
wife.
up, he has the mentality of the main character of the show.
What is the show?
I don't remember.
I guess
the name.
she's gonna show me this show.
Is it Big Love?
It might be. Wait, is it Big Love? Yes.
See,
It's on Showtime.
What is it called?
Big Love.
Big Love.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's one of those. It's
It
like
would be one of
Lifetime,
those.
HBO, Showtime, one of those.
but yeah, no, we don't share partners in our relationship. We just have our own outside relationships. I haven't ventured yet, but I might be talking to
I'm
this new guy.
curious about that, like, because I haven't ventured into that. What is your, as a third, as your
So
let's talk about
I wanna-
unicorn.
yeah,
Cameras were off, we
she
were
just threw it out
discussing.
there. And I was like, wait, hold on.
When the cameras were off, we were discussing how I have been what I think the queer community would coin term as a unicorn.
Which is?
Somebody who is involved with a couple, right? And so typically with unicorn situations, I've heard mostly like sexual. It's mostly like a sexual thing. But with this couple, it was definitely more than that. We actually went on dates. We hung out. We got to know each
Can
other.
I interrupt for a second? What's the
Please.
difference between a unicorn and a throuple then?
I feel like it's all the same. I feel like
okay,
it's all.
well-
I think my position in a throuple would be a unicorn because they
Okay,
were
that makes sense
already
to me.
dating,
I got you,
right?
yep.
So they were dating before me.
Okay.
And I came in. I was brought into their situation.
With both of them, or just one and then the other
Ooh,
one?
that's
okay with
interesting
it?
to me,
Because
too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here's how it happened. It was actually the male who approached me
Okay.
and asked me to be a part of it, but it was for his woman because she had expressed that she wanted to, like date a woman and like see what that would feel like if they did it together. And so he found me because of that. And we met at a bar, but we talked about it, and he was like, her birthday's coming up. I want to surprise her.
Oh, that's actually really
like, that's
sweet.
like
That's
something
so
that
cute.
she loves. And like, I'm over here like shook. I'm like, are you sure I'm not gonna walk into getting my ass beat?
Yeah, like, I'm scared of too.
Like, this is a woman, like this is her space. This is her man. Like, like
her birthday.
you're the man approaching me, and
Right,
you're saying
it looks
she's
all wrong.
interested,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like,
It could've
is
gone
she
wrong.
really? Because sometimes these
No,
guys
that's true,
will
that's
coerce the
true.
situation, but
Yep.
he was like, no, she really wants this. Like, this is new to me. This is something that she wants to explore. So, we did the whole birthday thing, and we really clicked, and we kind of like started dating after that.
okay.
We did things. We went to dinner. We had fun times, and then it got to a point where I had to kind of break things off with them because I was learning, like, I like this situation, I like this dynamic, but I want to be her. I want to be the woman who has her man already, and we're like, having fun
It's-
with someone
yeah.
like me, and I appreciated that, and I loved it. And then also it got to a point where I really started to find an imbalance in the partners because in my position, I should be able to, or at least try to be able to give equally.
Yeah.
And I really liked the woman more than the man, and the
Okay,
man
yeah.
started to piss me off, and I just didn't like him as much. And even to the point where I was like, hey, gotta break it off with y'all, but if you want to holler, like afterwards, if your guy is still cool with it, tell, you know what I'm saying? Please holler at me. I would love that because he was too much. Great guy, but it was even to a point where they got married and wanted me to be at their wedding.
Oh, so that's super weird to me. I don't know, because we are engaged, and I don't know how to navigate any of that because,
Right.
like, my parents are
God.
super, like, Roman traditional Catholic, like, and then like his parents are like, oh, whatever, we just wanted to be involved,
Right.
and so like it's like very two sides, and like how does that play into it with like how did you feel being the guest to a wedding? Because
Did you go?
I didn't go. I did not
okay.
go.
Okay.
And I think it's because I don't even know if they actually ended up doing their wedding the way they probably wanted to because of COVID.
Okay, yeah.
But I did tell them that I would be a part of it. If they wanted me to be a part of it, I would love to be there. And I imagine that I would be more so a guest. And I imagine the guy would probably get too drunk and tell them why I'm there. And the girl would be like, yeah, that's exactly what she's doing here. Like, we had fun. And then we probably would still have fun on their wedding night. I don't know. Like, somehow I would be wedding night.
That's what
somehow there's no way I would just be going home by myself. Like, love, I just kind of feel like I would be involved somehow. But it was a beautiful experience. It was so much fun, and I really loved it. But now, you know, on the outside looking in, I would like to be that person who has that solid foundation with a person, and maybe we do get married and we invite our, you know, I don't know what to call it, our girlfriend, our fling, our situationship, our unicorn, if we wanted to bring them to that, you know.
Situationship from this podcast. That's coming with me.
It's a real thing.
No, I heard entanglement because of Jada, but
it's the same thing.
I taught her op this morning. Yeah, like what, you know what op is?
I thought she said cop.
She thought
what
I said
an op is?
Yeah, like what an op is.
And I was like, yeah, like when you're narc, like I get it, but like it didn't click right away.
It's like, yeah, the cops. It's like, no, op.
No, actually you're not wrong though. They are the ops also.
No,
the cops are the ops, yes.
It's perfect because like sometimes I also know like one of my people like doesn't super understand polyamory, like even though like I came into it being like, this is polyamory, this is what I do, like this is 100% what it is. I talk about my other partners, like it's very much like this is happening this way. But like I can tell that he comes from like a monogamous point of view, and like he's obviously super accepting. He's like really trying to like understand it all and everything like that, but like he says some shit and I'm like no. that's the monogamous thing, or like things like that where it's just like no.
Okay, I have a question.
Please interrupt please,
because I know we're almost at time. After this, I have one more question, but this question real quick, sorry, two more questions. Have you had a situation where there was jealousy involved, whether you were jealous of one of his or you had a partner who was jealous of you and your nesting partner? Have you dealt with anything like that?
Okay, so I was jealous of his person that he was like waiting to fuck. That bothered me. Like I had feelings that can be considered jealousy, yes. But I didn't sit with those feelings, and therefore I think that it doesn't count as jealousy. I wasn't jealous because I addressed it.
Did the healthy thing.
Brought it to you.
Yeah,
that's where that boundary was drawn. Like, you know what? Let's not do that.
Yeah. So like, 100%. Where it's just like, if I feel a certain way or he feels a certain way, we bring it up right away. Because that's where resentment starts building. That's where like harboring bad feelings, all of that. Like if there's any bad feelings, I let him know about it right away, because I'm going to tap into that funny story I was telling you about the other day about we have a mutual, I won't call him a friend because he's a horrible person, but we have a mutual person that we know of that experienced polyamory from a point of he thought he was going to change this girl's mind. And he showed up at like this one person's house where like her other situationship was like in front of him, and he cried in front of both of them and left.
Why would he do that to himself?
Exactly. Why
he
would
thought he could change it, but he doesn't realize.
He thought he could change her to want only him.
Yeah.
And so
that was me at the beginning too.
And so that's 100%. So when you were asking about the difference between ours two, I think it really comes into like how you go into it. Because we started out as a monogamous relationship and we figured out that this is the best choice for both of us, versus I didn't have to change my viewpoint for what he wanted. It wasn't like I gotta take a big L to figure this out, or like you have to take a big L to like for me to sell myself to you. Like none of that. It was very much like, let's see if this works, and if it doesn't, like no. But it works, so they were like, oh, okay. You know, so like
I can't believe he did that.
Yeah, he really did that.
Like he really went and put
he
himself
actually
in that position and cried
and was like,
he
you
really
don't
did that.
Love me.
But it's like,
yeah,
bro, but
that would be me actually. No, that would be me.
That would be me too.
Yes, I'm the person crying like it wasn't just me this whole time. I can't believe
that.
So like,
that's crazy.
What?
So I
we
think
talked about this already.
There's others?
Like, come on.
Yeah, so like if you're going into a polyamorous relationship, you need to expect a polyamorous relationship.
Yes.
And so like I really don't think it matters like if you're poly, if you're monogamous, if you're whatever, like it doesn't matter as long as the boundaries are clearly set within whatever situationship new word that you have. As long as the boundaries are set clearly, that's where things go wrong. Like when boundaries aren't set clearly, no matter what the whole picture is, if the boundaries aren't there,
and jealousy is gonna happen. It's
yes,
because
that's where the resentment. Yes,
and the boundaries are there.
Yeah, go back to your two questions. I want to reiterate them so they know that we actually.
So no, you answered that
question.
Yes. The second question I had was for everybody, not me because I don't have it. But do you guys have any advice for anybody who's thinking about doing polyamory or they're just starting to do polyamory?
We'll start over here and go around,
So I think that if I have any advice, it's to stay true to yourself, because knowing yourself, knowing your desires, that is what's going to get you what you need out of a relationship, regardless of what you label it as. And so, you know, experiencing poly and ethical non-monogamy, it is about learning yourself and what you want and what your boundaries are, and just stick to who you are. Don't let another person skew your view or make you feel that you're wrong for having a boundary or feeling a certain way. What is what is for you, and that's it, and that's all. And you're gonna find your person that is with all of that, whatever it is, whatever label you want to put on it. Period. Stick to you. Be true to you. Be true to your wants and your desires, and you'll get what you want. Absolutely.
Yes, I agree with all of that.
100%.
Full-heartedly. Ask the damn questions. There's a lot of people that just feel like, oh, if I just don't bring up this fight, or if I just don't ask the question, I can prolong this and maybe it'll just go away and figure itself out. Ask the questions. Ask all the situations that are going through your head to your partner, so that they can hear the way you are like talking to yourself, so that they can kind of help you, reassure you that that's not a thing.
I agree.
I like that.
But asking lots of questions, asking the damn question, and just having the conversation that you want to be had.
Yes. Have the conversations.
I think for me, it's the deprogramming of monogamy. So just not always like, it won't feel natural because of society's programming. Like, it will not feel natural right when you start. Like, and the amount of people that don't understand it, or like don't care to understand it, is going to be a lot, and that's not going to change. And you need to understand that it is about you and your person and your happiness, and not the people around you, because the people around you are programmed for monogamy. And that's fine, and you can definitely adjust like your relationships to include those people as well in your life, but just know that there are going to have like some tough conversations are going to come up. Not everybody is going to understand, but if you're doing what's best for you and your partner, it will show in your relationship. Like the toxicity will fall apart, and like what is healthy and beautiful will remain. And I think that really comes down to a lot of points of just like, your relationship is yours. And like, obviously other people around you change like how you have to think about situations and how you have to go into situations, but as long as you know what you are to each other, that's the most important thing. Like, other people, they can think what they want, just as long as you guys know what you are to each other. That's, at the end of the day, what matters.
Period.
Any other lasting points about the poly lifestyle? Any questions? Sydney, have you learned a lot today?
I have learned so much.
Let's just give Sydney the
decompress. You know, I was
a review period.
I was super excited to talk about this because, so a little bit about me. Obviously, I am in a monogamous relationship, and I only really ever saw myself in that type of situation. I've been going through, you know, a side note, like a very intense spiritual journey. And that's something that that keeps coming back to me, is the idea of possession and how common it is in monogamous relationships, because my partner and I, before we were officially together, like, we went through a lot of other, you know, we had a situationship period, and we went through a lot of other issues dealing with other people, and not a lot, but we went through, you know, those issues, and it was hard, but it really made me question, you know, now that we're together, it's made me look at, you know, who is this person to me? And, you know, this dynamic that we have, it is so important to me. And so how do I feel about, you know, if he would want to explore other options, or if I wanted to explore other options, and can our relationship exist in that world? Because I never want my partner to feel like boxed in, you know, because to me, I'm still relatively young, but like I do love him, and I am thinking like I would like to marry this person. And so I'm very well aware that like if I want to marry him and I want him to be in my life, we're going to change. Things are going to happen. And I want our relationship to remain at most like our friendship. And, you know, so it's, you know, not that we're doing that or that we're going that route. We haven't really talked about it.
It's good to know that you have an option.
But, you know, I want to know what that's, you know, what that's about. So
yeah.
Thanks for sharing all of that.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I think that's a good first show. Thank you for being
Yeah.
a part of
Yes.
our episode.
Yes.
I like to talk, so
Thank you for
know.
bringing so much
Yes.
great insight and a great perspective that like
Yes.
Yes. And,
Yeah.
and educating people on what
Yes.
your poly looks like. And,
Yeah, what my
you
poly
know.
looks like. I was going to say, I don't know what everybody else is, but like I am always open to talking about my personal situation and like what it means to me, because
Yeah.
maybe that's just something that somebody needs to hear. Like,
Yeah. You never know who it could help.
Yeah.
You know?
well, I think that's a wrap. Thank you for tuning in to the Inner Circle. I'm Gabby.
I'm Keish.
And I'm Sid.
High fives all around.
Yeah.